Let's hop aboard and learn to play Empyreal Spells and Steam, a fantasy train game designed by Trey Chambers and published by Level 99 Games. This game holds from 2 to 6 players that plays around 20 minutes per player and ages 13 and up. Welcome to the world of Indians. You are a railway baron set to be the best in delivering goods by developing a grand network in the time of early industrialization. The goal in this game is to score the most victory points by delivering goods to cities, quickly fulfilling demands, and get awarded by carrying out special objectives. Let us now set up the game. The number of players in the game determines which maps are to be used and its configuration. For example, in a 4-player game setup, you'll need to use 2 sets of maps from A or B and 2 maps from C. Then on each hex of the 6 types of terrain spaces, place the matching good tokens. Now gather the demand tiles along with the 6 city stands. Place a city stand on each of the city hexes. There's one for each type of deliverable good. Display the correct number of demand tiles in each city stand. The number of players will determine the number of demands that will go in each city. So in a 4-player game, each city stand should contain 1 4 goods demand tile, 2 3 goods demand tile, and 1 2 goods demand tile. Near the map, create a space for the Spellcar market. Shuffle all the Spellcar tiles and randomly select 6 Spellcars. Display them face up to start the market. Place the rest face down in a nearby pile. Now shuffle each of the specialist tiles, which are the engineers, surveyors, and station masters. Create stacks of each type equal to the number of players plus 1. A 4-player game should have 5 specialists in each stack. Place these near the map where all players can see them. The rest of the specialists are returned to the box without revealing them. You'll be able to take a look at all the available specialists when you're acquiring them. The player who goes first is the one who recently rode a train, or randomly if desired. Give that player the start player token. In reverse order, each player will choose a company and collect their company's folio, their captain placard placed on the folio's designated space, trains, a conductor pawn, and 5 mana crystals placed on the folio's upper right corner. You may decide to use a wild captain instead in place of any company's captain. Finally, beginning with the star player, the player build their headquarters. Each company's folio will have a starting terrain shown on the upper left. The player will choose and place their train on one of these terrain hexes. Then they will place another train on any adjacent terrain, but not on a city or a wasteland. If you wish, you may play with these advanced rules. After setting up the specialist market, shuffle the award tiles and deal 2 of them face up near the map. Return the other tiles to the box. Award tiles will give players a chance to score extra points at the end of the game. For expert rules for awards, randomly draw award tiles face up equal to the number of players plus 2. Starting with the starting player and going around clockwise, they select and return to the box an award tile until there are 2 remaining which will be used in the game. For an epic game, you may increase the number of demand tiles needed to end the game by 1 for a longer game. And if you like, you may play with the rule of open information that displays all specialists face up. And that's it. Time to move on to gameplay. The game begins with the first player and turns will be passed to the next player on the left. This continues until one player has reached one of the endgame conditions. They collected the required number of demand tiles based on the number of players in the game, or if they have run out of trains. On the player's turn, they will take their turn in full before passing to the next player. Here's what players do on their turn. First, they may activate any of their specialists. Then they do their main action. Either administrate or move and activate, which may include delivering goods. When a player wants to activate any of their specialists, they must do it before they take their main action, and the specialist must be active and face up to use. They can be obtained when making an upgrade when you make a delivery, or by this effect represented by this symbol. There are 4 different specialists. captains, engineers, surveyors, and station masters. Both captains and engineers function the same way. You activate their ability, then flip them face down. To flip them back up, you must either use the effect or the administrate action to refresh them. Surveyors have very powerful abilities but can only be used once. They are turned face down and will not be available again for the rest of the game. Station Masters can be activated on each of the player's turn, and most will have special costs in order to use their effects, and they don't flip over. When you do gain a specialist, choose one of the 3 piles and look at all the specialists in there without revealing them. Once you have selected one, place it in your folio and return the rest of the specialists face down. When choosing a specialist, other players may continue their turn. Either choose a specialist by your next turn or by the time the next player gains a specialist. And remember, you only ever gain one type of specialist in the game. One of the 2 main actions you can take is the administrate action. When taking this action, do the 3 following effects in any order. Reclaim mana allows you to move all your spent mana off your board onto your folio to the available mana area. Refresh your face down captain and engineer by flipping them face up. And gain a spell card. Take any one spell card and place it onto your folio. We'll explain spell cards in detail later on. The action that you'll be taking the most is the move and activate action. First you move your conductor, and then you do the effects of the spell card tiles underneath the conductor. Your conductor starts the game on the start space. You must always move your conductor to the next space, and you must always move them to the right. Your conductor cannot move beyond the end of the line. A player may pay extra mana to move them further along the line. So here are the prices. The first move is, of course, free. Then to move the conductor to the second space requires the player to spend 1 mana. Moving to the third space will cost 3 mana, and 4 spaces will cost 6 mana. The conductor cannot move more than 4 spaces for this action. There's a note on spending mana. When you do, just move the mana off your board to signify that you have spent it. When you need more mana, you need to use the reclaim effect or administrate. Take all your mana and place it back onto your folio. Some reclaiming effects will have a player refresh a certain number. If and when you gain mana, take a mana crystal from the supply and add it to the folio so it's available. Now onto the second half of the action. It's time to activate those spell cards. Where the conductor stands after they move, the spell cards below it are ready to use. Up to 3 spell cards can fall under the conductor, in which you can activate in any order. Out of those spell cards, you can activate the first one for free, then the second will cost 1 mana, and the third will cost another 2 mana. Some spell cards can only be activated by paying additional mana. Staying on track, spell cards come in a variety of different effects and abilities. Your company folio will already come with a set of spell cards plus a unique company spell card. As you gain new spell cards from deliveries and during the administrate action, it will open up your capabilities. Some spell card tiles allow to copy another spell card next to them. Some allow a player to reclaim mana, and there are even ones that manipulate goods on the map. Note that some spell cards will require a player to spend mana. When adding a spell card, place it anywhere in the second row. Then you may place on the third row once the second row is filled. You may place a spell card on a printed space if your folio has been filled. Standard spell cards, which build tracks, place the trains on specific terrain. A spell card, like the Trailblazer, will give a player a choice of one of the 2 terrains shown to place 1 train. This Rhyme Cutter, which requires 2 mana, has the player placing a train on both of the terrains shown. Other spell cards, like this Terraformer, will cost 2 mana to use, which allows the player to place a train on a wasteland hex, then place a good of any color on it. Moving along from spell cards, let us build tracks. There are a couple of rules you need to know when placing trains in your network. Where your first trains are located to additional trains that will be added to the map throughout the game makes up your network. A hex that contains your trains means that it's in network, and other adjacent hexes from your trains are network adjacent. Any spell cards and some abilities that place trains means to place on a hex that is network adjacent unless noted. Just remember that you cannot place trains on cities or wasteland hexes, but some effects allow you to build on wastelands. You can also build on the same hexes as your opponents, and only up to 3 different companies can be on a single hex. You may never have more than 1 train on a single hex. Because of the nature of competition, a player may want to make a transfer to reach further and bypass hexes. Each hex that a player passes requires paying mana. There are 3 different types of transfers, and all are kept reference on your company's folio. Players can make any number of transfers as long as the first network adjacent hex is a transferable hex. Competitor transfers allows the player to bypass any one competitor's hex. Each hex you pass by will cost 2 mana, and the number of competitors on a hex and passing different competitors doesn't add to the cost. Players can transfer through cities and wastelands by paying 3 mana for cities and 4 mana to go over wasteland hexes. Some spell cards may provide a discount or free of cost at a number of transfers. Although separate networks can occur, all company trains are always connected despite them not being connected to each other. If you move your conductor to the last space of the line, it stops there and now you make a delivery. After doing so, you get a choice of a free upgrade. To make a delivery, choose a network adjacent city that will collect any number of goods in your network that it demands. For all the hexes your trains are on that contains the goods the city wants, take any number of those goods and place it in your folio area. Remember that your network doesn't have to be connected, so trains far off can still be part of the delivery and score. Then, with the number of goods you have delivered on this turn, you may also take the demand tile from that city as a bonus. There are 3 types. You can take the demand tile worth 1 victory point if you deliver at least 2 goods, the demand tile worth 2 victory points for at least 3 goods, and the demand tile worth 3 victory points if you deliver 4 or more goods. You may take the next highest demand tile that you have qualified for, and note demand tiles are limited for each city. Here's an example. King's Line wants to deliver to a city that demands blue goods. Air Light from Lakes. They check the trains on all the hexes that have blue good tokens, including any that are in separate networks. 3 goods can be delivered and the player chooses all of them. A 2 victory point demand is available and King's Line takes the last one. After you made your delivery, it's time to choose an upgrade. If you didn't make a delivery, you still make an upgrade. You can gain an extra mana and then reclaim all of your mana. You can also gain 2 spell cards from the market. Remember to scrap and refill the spell card market if at any time there are only 2 spell cards left. Finally, you can get a specialist and refresh your captain and engineer. The very last thing you do is to return your conductor to the start of the line. There are 2 ways the game will end. First, if a player collects a certain number of demand tiles, which is determined by the number of players in the game, or if a player runs out of trains. The round is then completed so that all players have an equal number of turns. Then once that is done, all players make a final delivery in reverse order, scoring goods and demand tiles as needed. No actions nor specialists are used in the final delivery. Now it's time to score, where each good delivered is 1 victory point. For demand, add up all the collected victory points listed on each demand tile. Finally, if playing with awards, each award tile gives the player in first place 6 victory points, and the player in second place 4 victory points. For games with 4 or more players, third place will gain 2 victory points. In a 2-player game, only give 4 points to the first place player and with no second place award. For ties with 2 players, add the current and next place values together and split them between both players rounded down. For ties between 3 or more players, add the current and the next 2 places and split them between the players rounded down. The winner will be the player with the most victory points. If there's a tie, then the player who delivered the most goods wins. If there's still a tie, the player who placed the most trains wins. Then if there's still a tie after that, the player who was furthest from the start player is the winner. This concludes the tutorial for Empyreal Spells and Steam. For more information about this game and others in the world of Indies and beyond, please visit level99games.com. More destinations await in As Above, So Below, an expansion for Empyreal Spells and Steam, including new captains, additional trains, and a new mode, Metros. And look for the micro expansion, Far Corners. Move up to First Class with the Deluxe Edition upgrade including resin goods and folio boards. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Subscribe to the Level 99 Games channel to hear news about our upcoming games and join us on our live playthroughs. Thanks for watching and happy gaming!